Hi, I'm Ryan Gauld, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful and still sweltering hot British Columbia. I'm your host, Michael McCall, and I am flying solo for this episode. I've given Steve and Zach the night off because we've got a lot of interviews already in the can that we're going to bring you tonight. Most of them around the Whitecaps' newest addition, designated player, attacking midfielder, Ryan Gauld. I'm sure many of you watched his introductory press conference on Tuesday up at the training centre up at UBC. We're not going to bring you too much from that because it's already all up on YouTube, on the Cap site, wherever you want to find it. But I do want to bring you a couple of the more pertinent aspects of it. We'll hear a little bit from Axel Schuster just talking about getting the deal done. We'll hear from Marc Dos Santos talking about what he's expecting from Ryan, why he wants him in his team, and just when we might possibly see him on the pitch, and just to perhaps temper expectations initially of what we can expect from the player. And then we'll hear from Ryan himself, just chatting about what he knows about MLS, how much he's seen of it, who he's spoken to from guys that he knows in the league. All of that is coming up in part 1. In part 2 though, we're going to sit down with Ryan for an exclusive one-on-one chat, just to chat about his journey in football so far, starting off in his youth career in Angus in Scotland, moving to Dundee United, making his pro debut as a 16-year-old in the Scottish Premier League, before getting a transfer to Sporting CP over in Portugal, and then spending the next few seasons in Portugal, before heading to Canada, heading to Vancouver, and heading to Major League Soccer. But that is not all. We're also going to bring you a chat that we had today with Whitecaps goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau, fresh from returning from international duty with Canada at the Gold Cup. And we'll also round up the midweek action in MLS West. A strange set of results. On paper, many of them good for the Whitecaps, but sadly, a set of results that sees the Whitecaps fall to last place in the Western Conference standings. We'll have some fun music for you as well, a couple of our fun segments returning, and of course this week's Wavelength. All of this is still to come, but we're going to kick things off in this part by looking at the introductory press conference on Tuesday for the Whitecaps' latest addition, attacking midfielder, designated player, Ryan Gauld. Now, Ryan was announced, of course, by the Whitecaps on Saturday. We touched a little bit about that on Sunday's show, episode 467. If you haven't heard that, check it out. So the media and the fans got to see and hear from Ryan for the first time on Tuesday, as well as a little bit from sporting director and CEO Axel Schuster and head coach Marc Dos Santos. Both of them clearly delighted to have finally got this deal done, finally have Ryan in a Whitecaps jersey. It's been a long drawn out process, one that's been undergoing for months. Hit a few speed bumps along the way. There was quarantine issues, there was vaccine issues, there was work permit issues, and of course his club in Portugal, for Rennes, trying to play the option card, saying that they still owned his rights and trying to get a big transfer fee out of the Whitecaps or any other party that would be prepared to pay it. The Whitecaps did make a payment towards Rennes in the end. It's been reported as around €355,000, but my understanding is that that's actually undervaluing what the Whitecaps had to give Rennes in the end to get the deal done. But that's all water under the bridge now. The deal has been done. Ryan Gauld is now officially a Whitecap, and Axel Schuster is clearly delighted by that fact. In fact, let's hear a little bit from Axel now, just explaining about the importance of getting this deal done and why it was important to him and the club to make Ryan Gauld a Vancouver Whitecap.
We were looking for a player that helps us to make the next step. That is a player that also helps us next season still to make the next step. As since my very first day, I said I'm believing in developing step by step. I don't think that you can crash things. I don't think that you can do magic things. So you have to work very hard for that. And there is one piece, that's the coaching staff working on the pitch with the guys every day. But there's also a lot of people in the background, analysts, performance guys, and definitely also a scouting and recruitment department. I have to say thank you to them, because it was them bringing the name up, doing all the research, always pushing me to say, hey, we have to stay on that guy. He would be the exact right fit. He is combining everything we are looking for. And we had frustrating moments and exciting moments throughout the whole process. But yeah, we hang in and we waited for it, and we never gave up, because yes, he was top on our list. And so it is even more exciting to get it at the end done, because there was also a risk to bet on something that maybe will not work. So definitely that excites also that we were able to get it done. And I want only to say one thing, because obviously if things take so much time, you can get the wrong impression. It was a fight about money. It was a fight about his contract, and he was negotiating everywhere. Probably his agents have done that, but I can tell it was exactly an offer, a counter, and a new offer from us, and it was never more than that. So it was 3 emails, two from me and one from his agent, that closed this deal for the player contract. So I think it was much more about convincing him that is the right project, and competing with other great clubs and to respect. And that's what we hopefully, I think we have done very well, to respect his position and his ask to us to keep him performing in his former club, to let him do his work and not to distract him too much with connecting with him and pushing him and asking him, because he wanted to get the job finished there and he wanted to do the best performance there. And so that was also something we had to respect. And we have done that until the very last moment, although sometimes I felt maybe we should call him and reach out to him and tell him how much we want him. But at the end, everything is good. He's here. Welcome to the club, Ryan. And I think you could not decide for a better time than that. Amazing weather. We are back in British Columbia, and soon we are playing in BC Place.
Whitecaps sporting director and CEO Axel Schuster there, just giving his initial thoughts on the transfer of Ryan Gauld to Vancouver. And why wouldn't you be delighted to have Ryan here? A player that scored 9 goals in each of his last 2 seasons in Portugal with Rennes. In 2019-20 season, he was in the 2nd tier in Portugal, leading Rennes to promotion. He was voted the Liga Pro Player of the Year that season. Then last season, things didn't really go as well as Rennes had hoped after their promotion. They immediately were relegated, but it wasn't for the lack of the help that Ryan gave the team. Led the team with 9 goals and 7 assists. He led the league in key passes per game, expected assists, shot opportunities created, and ended up in the top 5 in the league from shots, corners, free kicks and penalties scored. That's the kind of player Vancouver now have. He's also a very exciting playmaker. Don't be put off by his slight build. He's certainly able to shake off tough tackles. Growing up and playing your football in Scotland would do that for you. He's got great delivery. He's a dynamic player. And he's basically the kind of player that you can really build a team around going down the line. He signed a long-term deal. He's going to be here in Vancouver till at least 2024. And I know his transfer to the Caps and to MLS, it raised a number of eyebrows, especially back in Scotland. Some people saying that he was just coming here for the money, something he categorically denied at the introductory press conference. When our good friend Harjeet Johal asked him about that, Ryan said, "I've never been one to make my decisions over money. I've always thought there's more to a career, more to life than money. What it was the confidence that everybody at the club that I'd spoken to showed that they wanted me. What they thought I could do, what I could bring to the club, and really the Whitecaps were the first club to reach out to me and make it known how much I was wanted there. That's what played the biggest part, and this is where I felt I could really progress and hopefully I can really help the team out." But just how much does Ryan know about MLS? How familiar is he with it? Well, that's a question I put to him at Tuesday's press conference. Here's what he had to tell me.
How much or how familiar are you with Major League Soccer? I know a couple of your former United teammates have played over here. Johnny's still here. Did you speak to them about it? How much have you seen off the league?
Yeah, like you said, there's quite a few people here I know that are still here or have played here. That say great things about the league. Speaking of Johnny Russell in Kansas, he's loving it out here, and he was telling me that Vancouver's a lovely city, a good club. So it was good to speak to different people that I know to get different opinions. People that are playing in different cities, playing in the Eastern Conference, and they had the same things to say about the league. There's a little bit of a perception back in the UK, I think, that it's not like a great league, but when you watch the games, they're high intensity, there's a lot of quality, and I'm delighted to be here and looking forward to hopefully playing my part.
So Ryan knows Johnny Russell well, Gary Mackay-Steven that was at New York City FC as well. Both of them were on the United team as Ryan Gauld broke through. He knows Diego Rubio from Colorado Rapids. He played with him over in Portugal with Sporting. And he knows Bruno Gaspar as well. So all those things, chatting to those folk, kind of helped Ryan make his mind up that MLS was the place he wanted as the next stage of his career, and that Vancouver was the club that he wanted to be at. So great to have him here, delighted to have him here. And I want to bring you a little bit of exclusive audio now. I had a chat with Marc Dos Santos after the press conference on Tuesday, just to ask him a couple of things about the acquisition of Ryan, what he means to this team, and a couple of other things as well. Here's MDS.
Just wanted to ask Mark, obviously we know what Ryan's attributes are. How do you think he's going to fit into the league? He's obviously slighter build than maybe some of the other midfielders. Do you see that as an advantage in this league? Do you see it as a disadvantage?
Look, he's a good soccer player to start, right? So when we looked at him throughout the year in Portugal, we saw, like I said, my first thing is I already knew of his technical ability, but it was always, how is he coping in a Portuguese league physically and in its intensity? And you see games that he played against Sporting, Benfica, Porto, all teams that are playing in Champions League level, Braga, and he coped with those games in a fantastic way. So that gave us also the belief that he could come here and he won't. I don't think he's going to have a problem with the physical part of the game. I think he could have initially a problem, if you want to say problem, with adaptation of the league, of the travel. That's always there for every player, but some adapt quicker to others. And of course, it's never easy to arriving a team in the middle of a tornado, right? That the cows are in the tornado, the houses, and then you throw a player in. This is what needs a little bit of time, and also the adaptation with are we gonna adjust the triangle in the midfield to fit him in the way that we want to fit him. So there's a little bit of work to do, and like I said, I would have loved that we're having all this press conference in this where the team is today in day one of preseason. It would have been a total different story and scenario, but at least we know that he's here for more than only this year, and this year could give him the adaptation he needs for the future. And this is why I take away the possibility of him arriving and saving everything, because it's not what we think should happen right now.
Integrating him into the team, I'm not going to ask when, because we kind of talked about that, but the fact that he speaks Spanish and he speaks Portuguese, was that a big factor if you wanted to bring him?
It was one of the factors too, because when we look at a player, we look at the full of the player, and when you look at the full of the player, you need to look at what he gives you technically, his qualities, tactically, physically, but then you always think, okay, when day one he's going to arrive in that locker room, how is he going to fit in the day-to-day with everybody? And it was a factor, the fact that he was comfortable with Portuguese. Yesterday was speaking with Caio in Portuguese, speaking with the other guys in English. Eric speaks with him in Spanish and he understands. So it just allows that the integration, it's much quicker. When you look at a player like Dajo that needed more time to be integrated, or Daber that is still in the process, or Caio, of course the language is an important factor in this sport.
The midfield just now, it's kind of been set a little bit in recent games. Obviously you've got Caio that's doing well, Janio Bikel's having a great season, but you've talked before about wanting to get Baldissimo more minutes, Patrick Metcalf, you've got Leo Owusu, Russell Tybert, even Andy Rose if you wanted to play in midfield. Is it going to be tough to kind of integrate some of the other guys in the team now? Because once Ryan's up to speed, he's obviously going to be a starter. Does it maybe make you look at what kind of formations or tactics you might go for down the line?
Look, one thing that is for sure right now with us is that the team fits well with wingers, with the quality of Daber and the quality of Dajo. So the question now is, with what type of triangle in the midfield do you play? With a 1 and a 2 or a 2 and a 1? Then a player like Baldi is more comfortable with a 1 and a 2. Ryan could do both. Ryan could play in a 2 and 1 or a 1 and be one of the 2s. But for sure that with the arrival of Ryan, it makes the path for other midfielders even more challenging. And what I want to do is, and I think we've done it in the past year, giving opportunities to young guys, where Baldissimo started to get more and more integrated, a Pat Metcalf that's coming in games more. But when Bikel, Caio are players that are, integrating well and growing more and more, of course that the challenges and competition in the midfield are just going to grow. And we have to find what are the right solutions for every player in a scenario like that, and it's something that we're discussing in the office.
Just the last thing, Ryan's the kind of player that if you bring him into a team, you can build a team around him when you've got him long term. Obviously though, you've got a team built and there's some really big pieces here. Do you feel you need many more? Do you think come the off season that he's the kind of guy that you maybe want to build the team around doing other stuff? Yeah,
it's a good question. I think finally, this is the first time in my 3 years here that I feel, and I told Axel, this is the type of team I always wanted here. But there's 2 positions that if I look at the final 2 moves, number 1, it's important to keep this core. Right now, because it's a young team, you have a core. When you think of guys like Maxim Thomas, Ranko's age, Javane Brown, Guti, Baldi, Bikel, Kai, it's Deiber, Dajo, it's all guys at a great age, and they could be players that become a core of this club. And Ryan is only 25, but when I look at the full picture, I feel there's two positions that, again, I don't like to, you could try to guess, but there's two positions that would solidify everything and make us have an important run in the future.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all. He's the gaffer.
Marc Dos Santos there, talking all things Ryan Gauld and the possibility of building a team around him down the line. And from little murmurs that I'm hearing, there's going to be some movement around the squad pretty soon. Couple of guys coming in, couple of guys moving out. Pedro Vite coming in as midfielder, winger is pretty much a done deal now. That should be getting announced, I'm pretty sure, Thursday or Friday. My understanding as well is that there's going to be a centre-back getting added to the team. Whether that is a permanent addition or whether it's just kind of a stopgap player that's going to get added for the rest of this year whilst they look for a more permanent option in the off-season, still to be decided. But they definitely need to get some experience into that back line, especially in the centre-back position. To make way for that, a couple of the young guys are going to be moving out. Gianfranco Fascineri's going out on loan, as is Theo Bair. Both of those deals should be getting announced pretty soon as well. Don't know where they're going yet, though. That is the only thing I've not been able to find out. But I wish both those guys well. They definitely both need playing time to take that next step in their career. And I tweeted out when I was at training last week, I couldn't believe the change in Fascineri's build. He's really put the work in the gym. He's looking like a beast. I'm looking forward to seeing getting some regular playing time. I imagine it would be in the CPL, but I guess we'll wait and see what happens there. He was, of course, out on loan with Atletico Ottawa last season for the Island Games tournament. So exciting times. The big burning question, though, is when will we see Ryan Gauld taken to the pitch? MDS was pushed for that at the press conference and rightfully said, I'm not going to say when that is. And it baffles me so much that journalists here constantly, not just here in Vancouver, like around the league. I'm on a number of press conferences during the week, all over the league, CPL as well. And the amount of journalists that asks a coach, is this guy going to be playing on Saturday? Or what's the team going to be like? What are you going to do? No coach is going to tell you what his team is going to be. I know things are slightly different in hockey here, but you would think by now that journalists would have learned not to ask a coach that because they're not going to find out. But we will just round this part off with a little bit of audio from MDS from that press conference on Tuesday. A couple of questions that I asked him. First one, just around why he felt Ryan was the guy to bring here. But a second one, and an important one for me, and we've talked about it on the show before. I do worry that the expectations of a number of the supporters is very, very high with Ryan Gauld. And because he's coming as a DP, because it's a big splash signing, that they're going to give him a short rope and they're going to expect wonders from him right away. You've got to remember, this is a guy that is in pre-season mode, coming off a full season in Portugal. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to find his feet. He's playing in new environments, he's playing in new cities. There'll be things like altitude and turf and all these kind of things that he still has to get used to adjusting to, never mind the travel. So I think it is important not to put too much expectations on him in that regards. MDS agrees. Let's hear what he had to say. What is it about Ryan that made you feel he was the guy that you wanted to be your number 10 here? What do you think he's going to add to this team?
Ryan is a player that I've known for a while, since he was at Sporting, and then he had a phase of loans here and there. And what I'm going to say is what I told Ryan. I never had a doubt on the technical ability of Ryan. It's a player that has a great vision, great first touch, looks for the last pass, a very good delivery on set plays. So he's going to make us even better there. But the doubt I had was always in the moments where he lost the team lost the ball, or Ryan without the ball. But there's been an incredible improvement. I remember when I had a lot of doubts on that, maybe even 1 year ago, and one of our scouts asked me, he sent me a message in the morning and he goes, watch the game of Ryan against Braga. And I even told the scout, man, I don't want to waste time right now. Come on, no, you have to go watch it. You have to go watch it. And there was a huge change in the intensity of his game. I was very surprised by it. Then I went back to see other games. And I even had a talk with Ryan about it. I asked him what happened. And he shared with me some personal things and other things that why that part of the game has grown so much. And so then it was the mix of what we wanted and the intensity of the play with the technical ability that he has. But again, Ryan is another one in the sum of the parts. So we think that Ryan, with the other players around Ryan, is going to make the team better, and not only Ryan alone.
Ryan talked there about pressure and expectations of him. Obviously, whenever you bring in a big DP player, there's expectations on the player. What would you say to the supporters that feel, oh, now that you've got Ryan here, that's the answer to everything?
It's a good question, because I think it's also an education part for the supporters and for everybody in the media. When we brought Ryan here, is for Ryan to be a part of something and not to be the guy. And he knows, and it's very clear with me and him, that so any pressure that we could be talking about, it's not going to come from me, or because I know Ryan, I know the pro he is, and I know how he goes about things in the games. It's important that Ryan does what he knows what to do. And what he does well is he's always a player looking for the ball. He's a player that is not embarrassed or ashamed of being between lines. So he's comfortable to receive ball between lines, to look for the pass forward. But then when the team loses the ball, he's very committed with the team also. So that's what we want from him. And we don't want him to come here with the pressure of being a kind of a savior, because that doesn't exist. In soccer, maybe you only have two saviors. And those two are not here. So let's be very clear with that.
So some thoughts from MDS there. Totally agree with him. You've got to give him time. He is not the Messiah. He's not come in as a one-man show to turn things around immediately. He's the sum of all parts. He's made this team better. In theory, we just have to see that Ryan Gauld has now made the team better on the actual pitch. I've no doubt that he will. I'm really excited to see how he links up with both Dahomey and Caicedo on the wings, and also with Cavallini up front. My hope is that with Gauld now playing this attacking midfield role, it's going to allow Cavallini to do what he does best: get in the box, get in the 6-yard box, and hopefully finish these chances that's going to be created by Gauld, created by Dahomey, created by Caicedo. And of course, Dahomey's in such a rich vein of form just now. Really looking forward to seeing how they all link up. Although he's Scottish, although he's played in Europe, Ryan Gauld comes to Vancouver with a kind of South American mindset, really. He's that kind of creative player, intelligent player, just genuinely looking forward to seeing what he can do in the pitch and in this league. But that is it for this part. But that is not it for our chat about Ryan Gauld in this episode, because I sit down with the man himself next just to chat about his career so far and making the move to Whitecaps and MLS. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Marc Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, all the way from Dundee in Scotland, in honour of the Whitecaps' new signing Ryan Gauld. That's a band that we've played before here on the AFTN Soccer Show. Punk band, the Cundies. That is a song from their 2010 album, Cundee Radio, and that was Gangs o' Dundee. It is a bit of a rough place, Dundee. It has improved and kind of gentrified a lot over the years, but it also has an absolutely horrible one-way system in the city centre, which if you take the slightest wrong turn, you're driving around for ages trying to find your way back onto where you want to be. But it's the city of discovery. I don't know whether the Whitecaps had discovery rights on Ryan Gauld or not, but he's here in Vancouver now. He's here as a Whitecap. So that can only mean one thing. We've got to sit down and have a chat with him, delve into his career so far, his journey that's taken him from youth clubs in Angus in Scotland to Dundee United, over to Portugal, and now here in Canada in Major League Soccer with the Whitecaps. So I got a chance to sit down with Ryan for a chat on Wednesday evening. He just moved into his new place that he's going to be staying here, so really appreciate him giving up his time in what has been a very, very busy week. So we said we'd keep it to 20 minutes this time, and for once I actually managed to keep on track with that. So go make yourself your favourite hot beverage, grab a chocolate digestive, sit back and enjoy our chat with the Whitecaps' newest designated player, Ryan Gauld. Thanks so much for joining us on this, Ryan. I know it's been a busy first few days for you here in Vancouver. The kind of week you've
no
had.
worries.
How have you found these first few days? Have you had a time to even explore the city?
My first couple of days, I was in a hotel in downtown, so I went for walks about, kind of seen a little bit of the city in there, and now I'm in Kitsilano, so got a new place to explore. But yeah, hopefully with time, I'll get the opportunity to go and see a bit more of the city. I've heard there's a lot to go and see and do, so I'll have plenty of things to keep me busy.
Well, I know you spoke about your love for your dogs, and I know they're not with you just now, but it's a great city for dogs. I've had a couple of dogs. I brought my first dog over from Scotland with me that we just lost a couple of years ago. So, I mean, you'll get out and about and you'll see a lot of the city with that. I'm sure you're missing them.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully it won't be too long before they can get over, and then I've already seen more dogs here than I've seen in a lot of places. So I'm looking forward to when they can come over with my girlfriend as well, and then we can go and see the sights of Vancouver.
Did you know anything about the city or like much about Canada before you made the move?
Before I heard of the interest from the Whitecaps, I didn't know too much about Canada, to be fair. But then, doing my research before coming over made me realise, how lovely the city is, and if anyone that I've spoke to about Vancouver, they've only had good things to say about it. So I was very eager to come and see the place for myself, and I've enjoyed my first few days here. Hopefully, it can carry on that way.
I will say the weather's not always like this, but I'm sure everyone's told you that so far.
It's all right. We're Scottish. We're used to rain.
Yeah. What I want to do in this, because obviously you answered a lot of questions in your introductory press conference about making the move here and everything like that. I want to do a little bit of background just so that people get to know you a little bit better. I mean, you broke into football at a very early age, making your debut at 16. When did you know that you had what it took to be a professional footballer?
I never really had a moment when I sat down and thought, like, yeah, I've got this. It was more, I was a young player just starting out, and all I was thinking about was trying to get as many minutes on the pitch for the first team as possible. And thankfully, I think it would have been the 2013-14 season, I managed to, get a lot of game time at such a young age, and that was kind of my first full-on year at professional football. So that kind of set me up for what was to come.
When you were growing up, like, who were your childhood idols? Is there any players that you kind of modelled your game on, or you really admired?
Not so much individuals, but I would like, when I was just starting to go into the professional side, that's when the Barcelona team was at its best with Xavi, Iniesta, Messi. So that was the team that I enjoyed watching the most by far. But I wouldn't say there's any players really that, I've stood out and I've tried to copy or anything. It's just I just enjoy watching football, and I watch anything that's on TV. So I've watched plenty and seen a lot of football. But yeah, just that Barcelona team would have been the best that I've seen.
There's certainly no shortage of football here, which, when I moved here in 2007, everyone said, oh, you're lucky, there's so much football. There never used to be. And now there's even more, which is kind of crazy. When you made your debut at such a young age, I was looking back at the Dundee United squads that you played in, and there was some quality players in that. When you look at guys like yourself and Johnny Russell's here, Gary Mackay-Steven had a spell here, Andy Robertson, Stuart Armstrong. It was a really good United team. When you look back at that, do you feel they maybe could have done more than they did?
That was a brilliant squad we had. That would have been the 13-14 season.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to be a part of such a good team. There's a few boys gone on from that team to win caps for the national team. So yeah, it was a great time to be playing for United, and I'm sure it was a great time for the fans as well, because we had a 6-game spell of scoring 4 or more goals, which would excite any fans. So everyone's taken their own paths since then. We all enjoyed it at the time. All enjoyed the opportunity to play with each other.
It amuses me when I read that you made your debut by coming on for Johnny Russell, and now you're both together in MLS. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I asked you yesterday about that. I spoke to him as well about what it was like.
I spoke briefly to Johnny. Yeah. He speaks very highly of the league over here, and he spoke highly of Vancouver as well. So it was good to hear from him. And I've got another pal that plays for the Colorado Rapids, Diego Rubio. He says the same. He says brilliant things about the league, and it just made me realise that this was the right place to come to, the right club to be at.
When you were coming through United, obviously you got a lot of press attention, and the press in Scotland are bad for building players up and then putting a lot of pressure on them, especially at a young age. You had all those comparisons to Messi, and everyone was saying, oh, it's the next big thing, because Scotland's always been looking for this next big thing. Did you feel that put on added pressure on your shoulders that you didn't need at that age?
Yeah, I suppose that comparison would put a wee bit pressure on anybody, but you just had to put it to the back of my mind and try and focus on myself, focus on my own game. So that's the way I went about things.
And then you made the move to Portugal. For years, not many Scottish players have gone to Europe, and the ones that do, Portugal's not usually a landing spot. But it seemed a perfect league and a perfect environment for the kind of game that you've got. What was behind that move, and was it just to try and get into a different kind of atmosphere, a different kind of environment?
Well, I'd always said from a young age that I wanted to experience playing in Europe. I didn't really see myself making my career in the UK, so I always thought that when the opportunity arose to go abroad, if it was going to be the right option, then I would take it. And 2014, Sporting came in for me, and it felt like, the history the club's got of bringing young boys through and putting them in the first team. It felt like it was a good place to be at. Unfortunately, things never worked out there. But I come away from Portugal with very good experiences, more so in the last year or two.
Yeah, you touched yesterday about how you wanted to drop down to get the playing time, and then when you went to Firenze, your game seemed to really grow, really develop. You had more production. Marc yesterday talked about how he'd seen a different aspect of your game. What was it that you feel clicked, or what happened that just took your game to this next level?
It's hard to say what made me take that next kind of step. I started working out in the gym a lot more. I kind of changed my mentality a wee bit towards training, trying to take everything I could out of every training session. And then I was lucky that I had, a manager that had a lot of confidence in me, and he gave me the chance to play 90 minutes every week, which is exactly what I was looking for. And then I feel like with that opportunity, I've been able to show what I can do. It was the first time in my career, just 2 years ago at Firenze, that I was playing 90 minutes week in, week out. So, given that opportunity and that chance, I thought, it gave me the opportunity to show what I can really do.
I know you had a lot of your development in the early years with Ian Cathro, and like what he's set up and his whole training system, it focuses a lot more on the creative side and skill with the ball, less about the physicality. Your game just doesn't seem as suited to the hurly-burly of Scottish football as perhaps maybe, like here in MLS, it's a very South American feel, especially in Vancouver. Is that why you felt Europe was the place that you were going to have to go and have your career?
I guess so. Like I was saying, that Barcelona team with Xavi and Iniesta, I knew from when I was 11, 12, I was never going to be the tallest boy. So I had to focus more on the technical side and try and, be like the next step ahead, even from such a young age. So I think that kind of side, the more technical side, it intrigued me. And it wasn't just the football side either. It was the chance to go and experience living in another country that was something I really wanted to go and test myself with, learn another language. So, there's a few factors that kind of weighed in.
I was going to ask you about the language thing. How long did it take you to learn Portuguese? Because I spoke to Marc yesterday after the presser, and he was saying one of the big factors that he really liked about you was you can speak Portuguese, you can speak Spanish, you can communicate with so many guys on the team in their own language. Was it hard for you to learn that, or was it quite easy?
To be fair, my first couple of years, I didn't really learn much. I had 2 lessons, and then I heard how expensive they were, so I was like, no, I'll just learn by myself. So that probably made it take longer to learn. But no, I picked it up slowly, and then I would say after my 3rd year, and then going into my 4th year, I really got hold of the language, and it made a big difference in helping to settle down and get on with everyone. My Spanish isn't great. I'm not much of a Spanish speaker, but Portuguese, I'm definitely a lot more comfortable.
Has it helped you kind of settle in with the squad here? Because obviously there is so many guys that speak different languages and stuff. I mean, watching you at training today, you just seemed really comfortable out there. I saw you communicating with guys. I mean, have you felt like you've just easily slipped into this?
Yeah, I feel like I've settled in well. The only person I really knew before coming here was Bruno Gaspar, and being able to speak Portuguese with him really helped to kind of settle in better and help get to know everyone. But it's a really good bunch of boys. They've made it really easy to settle in. So even just if I only spoke English, it would have been an easy changing room to settle into.
Yeah, I think the general feeling is that it's a very close-knit locker room. Everyone seems to get on, which always helps. When did you first hear about Vancouver's interest in you, and what was your initial thoughts? Because obviously MLS, it's got a mixed reputation, I think unfairly, because it's a very quality league. I've watched it for years now, and a lot of players maybe don't want to come over. What made you feel that this was it, and when did you first find out that they wanted you?
So I think it would have been a few months ago now, maybe back in February, March, that the club first reached out and said they were interested. And hearing their level of interest made me, take notice and really go and have a look at the city, the club, the league. And the MLS doesn't get the level of attention that it probably should back in the UK, because after training just for a couple of sessions and I went to the game against Minnesota in Salt Lake. I mean, there's a lot of quality and it's very high intensity. So it definitely deserves a lot more attention than what I would say it gets in the UK. And I can't wait to, get involved whenever that's going to be.
Yeah, I think a lot of the MLS sides would beat the Premier sides in Scotland on a regular basis. I think the quality's there. Because I know when it was first mentioned that you were possibly coming here, the reaction in Scotland was, what's he doing that for? It's a backward step. Yeah. But it's not, because it's like, if they start to watch it, I think...
There's a lot of quality here.
Yeah, I mean, they'll realise that, hopefully, if they start to watch you. Now, Axel mentioned yesterday that you'd agreed to come, but you wanted to see the season out with Ferenz. I take it that was important. You really wanted to help them stay up, and it didn't work out that way. But I mean, how was the last couple of weeks there for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to put. We struggled all season really to get results, and the faith that they showed in me the year before to help get them promoted. I wanted to give them everything I've got, and I didn't want to be getting distracted by anything during that season. I wanted to focus solely on Ferenc. So that was, just the basic for me, because I suppose I was still under contract, so I didn't want to be thinking about the next step until I've seen out my duties with the club I was at.
Now, you might not want to talk too much about this or comment too much on it, but when everything came out around the whole option thing, like, I take it you were 100% confident there was no option and that you were good to go. And I know the Whitecaps ended up sending some money their way, but were you concerned that might derail things a little bit?
No. I mean, I didn't get involved in any of that. I left that with my agents and the Whitecaps, and thankfully everything got sorted out. And the most important is that it did get sorted out, and I'm here now. I'm a Whitecaps player, and I'm just I'm ready to get going, ready to get involved as soon as I can.
You've come here as a designated player. It's a term and a kind of player I don't like, because I feel it immediately puts pressure on guys, because you've got that tag and you're expected to be this, that and the other. I don't know if it's been explained to you, like, what you kind of mean to the city and to the fans here, because we've not had a decent number 10 or a real pure number 10 for many seasons now. And I know you spoke yesterday about pressure and expectations and stuff, but I mean, have you had anyone say to you, look, that you're the first kind of number 10 we've had for years here?
I mean, I'm aware of that, but I think it's expected coming into a new league, a new team. Everything's new to me. I've been off for 2.5 months. There's going to be an adaptation period. So, I put high expectations on myself anyway. So nothing that anybody can say to me is going to, put more pressure on what I already expect from myself. So I wouldn't say that that's, going to change anything that I'm going to do here. It's not going to affect my preparation and training or games.
That's fair. And just the last thing, I know you're keen to get going, everyone's keen to see you go in, and not going to put you on the spot and ask when you think that's going to be, but to get up to full fitness, because obviously being able to go a little bit and full match fitness are two very different things. how much longer do you feel you might need to get up to the Ryan Gauld that we saw when Friends were like in full flow?
I mean, hopefully it's not going to take too long, but I have had quite a long time away from football, so it's kind of like going into pre-season now. But if everything goes well, touch wood, I can stay injury free. I'm hoping that it won't be too long until I can get back in the swing of things, and after a couple of games, get the match fitness back up and really try and hit the ground running as much as possible.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Ryan. Really appreciate it. I know you've had a busy week, a hectic week, and hope you settle in. Look forward to seeing the pitch soon, and hopefully your girlfriend and dogs can get over as soon as possible as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thanks so much, man. Go enjoy dinner.
Cheers.
Ryan Gauld there, just chatting about his career so far, the journey that's taken him from Scotland to Canada via Portugal. Really looking forward to seeing him on the pitch soon. Wouldn't be surprised if he's involved in the matchday squad for the game on Sunday against the Galaxy down in LA. He's certainly been training in full this week so far on Monday and Wednesday. But he isn't up to full match fitness yet, so we don't want to rush him back. As Mark mentioned before when talking about integration, that the most important thing is you don't want to get him on for a few minutes, he tweaks something and then he's out for weeks or months or whatever. And as we talked about there, that there's certainly a difference between being ready to play and having full match fitness. So I mean, Ryan's still got to get up to speed in that. Hopefully, though, by the end of August, we will see him in full flow, bringing some of those skills that he showed over in Portugal with Friends. But of course, the burning question that I'm sure you all have coming out of that interview, though, is does Ryan Gauld fancy a chocolate digestive? Well, let's find out, shall we?
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Now, you're not officially a Vancouver Whitecap until you've done this section with us, so that's what we're saying. So, if you're sitting at home and you want to have a hot beverage, what would be your hot beverage of choice? A tea, coffee, something else?
I would probably go a coffee. More of a coffee, man.
Do you have a sweet tooth?
Not overly, no. No.
So if you're having your coffee, then what would you have with it? Would you have a biscuit? Would you have a bit of cake? Are you healthy?
I don't know, actually. My coffee, a bit of toast, maybe.
Oh,
would be my go-to. A wee bit of toast and coffee.
We've never had that answer before. Okay.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Devastated. After talking it up large in the last show, I was so confident he was going to be a chocolate digestive guy, but nope. It's just toast for him with his coffee. I think I'll have to probe him on that a little bit more later on. I'll tease him with some chocolate digestives at training. But that is it for this part. We've still got more to come. We've got another feature interview to come as well, with a man returning to the Whitecaps from international duty with Canada at the Gold Cup, goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau, and we'll be back chatting with him after this.
Hi, I'm Johnny Russell and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our Artists of the Month here at AFTN for the month of August. From Sacramento, California, three-piece punk band Destroy Boys. And that was a song from their second album, 2018's Make Room. That was a song called American River. And the Whitecaps' elongated stay in America is thankfully over. Their last home match in their makeshift home of Sandy, Utah was played at the weekend at 2-2 draw with Minnesota United. Still a few weeks before they can see the pitch at BC Place in a match. They've got 3 away games coming up. And it's 3 very tough matches. We'll have a little bit of a look at how the midweek action played out in MLS West and a quick look ahead to this game against the LA Galaxy. As I mentioned in the last part, no one really knows whether Ryan Gauld will be involved in any capacity in that match against the Galaxy. My hunch is he'll travel down to LA with the team at least, and it might be a game day decision to see whether they put him on the bench, and depending on how the game goes, you might see a quick run out for him for 5-10 minutes just to make his debut and find his feet. But there's likely to be a couple of changes to the Whitecaps starting lineup for that game, and in particular, in between the sticks. Maxime Crepeau has returned to the Whitecaps camp after being away for nearly a month with the Canadian men's national team at the Gold Cup, suffering that heartbreaking defeat in the semi-final, 99th minute goal for Mexico, 9 minutes into stoppage time, or should I say 9 minutes into the 7 allocated minutes of stoppage time, saw Mexico advance to the final, which they eventually lost to the US. It was certainly a tough way to go out for the guys. We talked about that in the last show. Lots of players, though, certainly did their own personal stock a lot of good in the competition. And one of those was the Whitecaps' very own Maxime Crepeau. Now, Max played in all 5 games in the tournament. His first really sustained run as being the starting keeper for Canada. Some great performances, including that penalty save against Mexico, the clean sheet against Costa Rica. Some really good stuff from Max and the whole Canadian team, of course. But he's back with the Whitecaps now, and not only that, he's back in Canada for the first time. Obviously wasn't able to make the return with the rest of the team because he was still with Canada. So it was great to see him back at Whitecaps training this week. Got a chance to sit down with him on Wednesday just for a chat about how the Gold Cup went, looking forward to the World Cup qualifiers with Canada, just his own personal experiences, and then turning our attention to the Whitecaps and the rest of the season here. Now at Whitecaps training this week, they've got the new COVID protocols in place. So that means we have to stay at least 6 to 10 feet away from the players, which does make getting some decent podcast audio a little bit more complicated. So I tried something today with the chats that I had with Maxime and Javane Brown, which we're going to bring you in the next episode. And it didn't quite work out with the quality that I was hoping for. So I need to think about how I'm wanting to do this going forward. But it's still a very listenable interview. It's not as great quality as you would usually expect and find on the show. Myself in particular, being far away from where the mic was, it's a little bit kind of subdued and kind of quiet and a little kind of tinny at my end. But Max is a bit clearer. So hopefully it doesn't spoil your enjoyment too much. So go make yourself another hot beverage, grab another chocolate digestive, you're worth it, and sit back and enjoy my chat with Whitecaps and Canada #1, Maxime Crepeau. So, how does it feel to finally be back in Vancouver after being in Utah, then away with Canada? And
yeah, it's been it's good to be here, to be back in Vancouver, you know, in your own stuff, in your apartment. It was temporary in Salt Lake. We could have felt that, you know. It's even though you want to put your mind in the fact that it's your temporary home, home is here and not in Utah, right? So it feels good just to take it in. It's been 3-4 days I arrived. Still have one suitcase to unpack, but all the rest is good. You know, it's been good to be back.
Was it nice knowing, I mean, obviously you didn't want to leave the Gold Cup when you did, but was it nice knowing that at least when you left it, you were coming back here and that you could just start a new chapter?
Yeah, exactly. The main focus for me was when I left, my family was still in Salt Lake and I had to move them over here, you know, with my daughter. My daughter is American, she's not Canadian.
So you better not play for them.
Well, she'll have both. She'll have both solutions, but I'll make sure that she knows what Daddy did. You know? But yeah. So by that, you know, they come into the country, my dog flying, all that stuff. So I needed to sort out my family, and for the rest, everything went well.
Like the Gold Cup, I mean, it was a great performance. You spoke briefly to me after the game, and I mean, having to stand up and speak to media after that, I know it was quite gutting, but there's a lot of pride in that performance, a lot to build on.
Yeah.
How much does it still hurt now that the dust has settled?
Yeah, it's frustrating because on the field you are right there. You watch the stats, you watch where the teams have possession, where the team hurts the opposition, and we are on top of the US and we are almost on top of Mexico, if not head to head maybe. So it's a sour feeling because we knew we had the squad to do it, to go all the way, you know. And obviously it's football, you know. We get we concede the last minute, and then just emotions at the end of the game, you know. It was emotions all that 90 against Mexico, but honestly it's still sting because we know we could have another game on Sunday that just passed, but it happens. It's football. Now we focus on the qualifying of the World Cup. We're gonna see them again. See them again. That's just a rivalry that slowly gets installed when you play these teams more than once in a year in the calendar. So now we have the opportunity to play home away every single team. So it's gonna be good.
The end of the Mexico game, I've never seen you in a game so angry. I don't know if you can share what happened, but something clearly set you off.
Yeah, it's it's just emotion, you know, building of the game, and then Maury threw a ball. Ozo went at him because there was no ball in the play. I don't know if it showed on TV, but it's all that stuff, you know. We just threw it, and then there was a lot of emotion, like I said, during the game. We were in each other's face all the time, and then at the end it's just pure emotion, and things were said, things was done, you know. The camera didn't cut everything of that, but
that's probably just as well.
It's just emotions, you know. It's the game. It's the game.
I take it there was a compliment that Mexico think, well, Canada's a real threat now.
Yeah.
And you went toe to toe with them. You went toe to toe with America. You could have beaten both. Folk might say, yeah, they were understrength teams, but so was Canada. Yeah. And you beat a good Costa Rican side. This feels like you've got a great chance now in this octagon. Yeah,
we believe we can put our nation in Qatar. We really do, you know. We want to be the top 3 in the CONCACAF and go to Qatar. This is the main objective, you know. We got 14 games, home away. When we're gonna go on the road, depending on the government rules, it's gonna feel like the same 70,000 in Houston against Mexico. It's gonna feel the same, you know. It's going to be loud, noisy, everything's against you. And then when you're going to play home, you need to collect the points, and that's it, you know. So honestly, top 3, that's the objective of the team, and we believe we can do it. We have the quality, we have the plan, we have the mindset to do it. Now it's up to just time, you know. Got to wait another 5 months until March, basically. March is the last window of the X, so gotta wait until what's happening, but our objective is to be top 3, if not play that playoff game and put us in Qatar.
Last thing to mention about the Mexico game, because I don't want to dwell on it, but that stoppage, which has happened a few times in this tournament, also said afterwards he didn't feel that changed things, but from watching it, it felt like we were in the ascendancy, the momentum was with us, both teams got a breather, but they seem to come back better from it. There surely has to be a better way than to stop the game, which is then disrupting the team like yourselves.
It's true in the field. You don't feel these moments. You really don't feel these moments. When you look back at it afterwards, maybe as you mentioned, you maybe see it on TV or whatever, but on the field you really don't.
Right.
And so on the field we did have to believe that we knew we would have one more chance, or two after that. But honestly, to be fair, it's more of a CONCACAF thing, It's protocols, and it's not my place to comment too much on this either, It is what it is, but at the end of the day, these chants, homophobic, racist chants, you gotta stop, man. It's not part of the game, so.
Your own performance, I mean, it was a great tournament for you. That penalty save, it was top notch. How do you look back at how you played in the tournament?
Yeah, I think it was good to have a build up of games internationally, because the windows usually it's one game or two maybe, But now it's quite a build up of games in international football, which I gain experience. I do appreciate the international football. For me, it's the best football you can play. It's unbelievable. You represent your country. You play against other nations. It's the best. But on my personal half, I want to put this team in a place where mentally they know if the ball goes through them or behind, it's taken care of, and I can bail this team out. And this is what I wanted to put, and this is when I did once or twice in the Gold Cup, and I want to even improve more in the next. So personally, I think I had a good tournament. Was it perfect? No, but it was good.
Last couple of things, just Whitecaps related. So back to the bread and butter. Decent results while you were away.
Yep.
What did you make? Did you get to see all the games, or what have you made of how the team's been playing?
Yeah, I watched the game. I think there was one game that was a little bit late, like it finished at 11:30. I missed that for the last 10 minutes. I think it was LFC game or something. Anyway, so I went to bed. It was 2-1, and I woke up and it was 2-2. But I watched everything, and then I think that the team did well to get the points, not the wins though. When you look at these games, we have the lead, and it's difficult to seal the game. I feel like it's difficult to seal games, and there's a little bit of the story of the season so far too, Or there's games that it's 0-0, can get a point on the road and we concede. So to be fair, I think it's tactically and mentally on the field. Once we're up by a goal or two, close the game, finish it, be compact, be a really hard team to break down, and then with the ball be intelligent, It's easier said than done, yes, but I think we need to hold on to result if we want to be in the playoff at the end of the year, because right now, you see in the West, it's pretty tight, to be fair.
Yeah, just string a few results
it's like 6
together,
points. Yeah, 6 points-ish, you're there on that line, so you want to do it, so. The other thing too that I circle in the calendars is that we are home for a lot, for 15 games. There's 9 home games, so we gotta make the best out of it. We gotta really make the best out of it. We don't travel to a game. It's been a long time since we haven't traveled for a game, so we need to take advantage of this.
That's great. That's pretty much everything.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Chatting to me as always, and good luck, Max.
Thanks, man.
Maxime Crepeau there, just talking all things Gold Cup, Canada and Whitecaps. Fully expect to see him back between the goalposts for the match against LA Galaxy on Sunday. And he's going to be in full of confidence as well with the performances that he turned in down in the US at that Gold Cup tournament. So before we turn our attention to the midweek MLS action and chat a little bit more about that game against the Galaxy at the weekend, when I was putting together the last part and obviously Ryan Gauld's chocolate digestive question, it made me realise I hadn't done many of those fun segments on the show for quite a few episodes now. It's not that we don't have them. I've got a whole folder full of the stuff that I've just never got round to putting in the show because, as regular listeners will know, we've been very, very busy with our stuff over the past couple of weeks. We're already talking at 2 to 3 hour shows, so splicing in some fun segments maybe it is the last thing that some folk want to listen to when you're already listening to a couple of hours of the show already. So I thought I'll have a little look in the folder, see what I've got, see what else I can bring you for this episode. So I think tying in with the Scottish theme that we have running through this episode, this segment, of course, is introduced by a song from the wonderful Ivor Cutler, a Scottish musical legend. So without any further ado, let's find out just what is Tosaint Ricketts' favourite jam.
What's your favourite jam? Traffic jam. What's wrong with raspberry? What's wrong with plum? How's about a blob of elderberry on a scone? What's your favourite jam?
You're sitting at home, you decide to have a crumpet, some toast, even some bread, but you want to have some jam on it. What's your favourite jam?
Strawberry jam.
Excellent.
No chunks, though. No chunks. I don't like the chunks.
Oh, the chunks make it.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe minimal chunks. Strawberry jam with minimal chunks.
I'll take that.
What's your favourite jam?
Whitecap striker Tosaint Ricketts. Strawberry jam for him. It's a firm favourite with all the players that we're asking so far. You've got to have lumps with it though, Toss. I mean, come on. But a little bit of light-hearted fun there, because we certainly need it down Whitecaps way. In amongst the fact that we've added a new designated player, there's some other new additions on the way. The Whitecaps have lost only one match in their last 7. Yes, 5 of those were draws, but still just one loss in 7 games, which is pretty good. In amongst all that, the midweek action in MLS saw the Whitecaps drop to last place in the Western Conference standings. And the reason for that was Austin FC's huge win in the Texan Derby over Houston Dynamo. A fantastic 3-2 win at home for Austin over their Texas rivals. Their first Texan Derby in MLS, and they come away with 3 points. And it was an excellent performance by them as well. Thomas Pochettino put them 1 up 7 minutes in before Canadian Tyler Pasher equalised for Houston. Sandwiched in between that, though, was perhaps one of the big turning points of the game. Darwin Serran of Houston got sent off for an elbow to the face of Berhalter. Clear red card offence, stupid by Serran, and it really put Houston under pressure after that. Austin went 2-1 up just before half-time, Pochettino again. Then they made it 3-1 11 minutes after the restart. Cecilio Dominguez got that one. Fafa Pico pulled one back 4 minutes from full time, but there's no way back for Houston, and a huge 3 points for Austin. Not only their first Texas Derby win, but also moved them off the bottom of the Western Conference standings, sending the Whitecaps there instead. But things are so tight right now. Between Real Salt Lake in the 7th and final playoff spot, to the Whitecaps now down in 13th, 6 points separate the teams, 2 wins. So very much still capable for the Whitecaps to get into the playoff picture. I'll just go through the rest of the midweek results in the West. And it was a very busy midweek of action. 12 matches in total taking place between the East and the West conferences. We're just going to focus on the Western results. So the action had kicked off there with Austin's 3-2 win over Houston. On the whole, it was some fairly good results for the Whitecaps, even though they moved to the bottom of the standings. Seattle and Dallas played out a 1-1 draw at Lumen Field. Freddie Montero gave Seattle the lead in the 72nd minute. Then a minute into stoppage time, Franco Jara ties it up for Dallas, gives them a huge point on the road. And that was 2 drop points that's going to prove costly for Seattle when we take a look at the current standings. And that's winless in 3 matches now for Seattle as well after their really strong start to the season. Next up was the Whitecaps' opponents on Sunday, the LA Galaxy, and they came away with a narrow 1-0 win over Real Salt Lake. Efrain Alvarez coming back from Gold Cup duty to get the only goal of the game in the 53rd minute. And it was one of those rare occasions where both LA sides were at home on the same night, albeit very, very far apart in the city. And it wasn't a good night at Banc of California Stadium for LAFC, going down to a heavy 4-1 loss to Sporting Kansas City. Alan Pulido putting KC into the lead 20 minutes in. Louis Martins made it 2 28 minutes. And then Daniel Saloui made it 3 before half-time, putting SKC firmly in control. Gabi Kinda made it 4 in the 58th minute, before Danny Musovski pulled back a consolation for LAFC with 8 minutes to go. And the final game of the night was another good result for the Whitecaps in general. 1-0 draw between Portland Timbers and San Jose Earthquakes. Another game where San Jose completely dominated by the opponents in possession. The other team had more shots on target, 21-13, but San Jose 8 shots on goal to Portland's 4, and they actually took the lead 24 minutes in, Javier Lopez, and they couldn't hold on to half-time. Portland tied things up 6 minutes in the first half stoppage time, getting another goal for the Timbers. No more goals in the second half. Some late drama though, as Diego Chara was sent off 3 minutes into stoppage time. There's a second yellow card for Chara for a stamp on Yo, an accidental stamp. He was just going for the ball, went over the top of the ball and ended up standing on Yo's foot. But got him a second yellow. San Jose couldn't obviously capitalise on that in the limited time remaining, but that's going to be a loss for the Timbers, losing Chara for the next game. But another hard-fought point on the road for San Jose. Right now, with how tight things are in the West, the more draws there are, the far better this is going to be for the Whitecaps going forward. Quick look at the standings. Kansas City now jump out on top, 33 points from 17 games. Seattle second, 33 points as well from 18. They've got 1 win less, which is why Kansas City top the table on the tiebreaker. LA Galaxy, third, 31 points. Colorado 4th on 27, LAFC 5th on 23, Minnesota 6th on 23, and then Salt Lake in the 7th and final playoff spot with 21. Then it's Portland on 20, Dallas on 18, San Jose on 18, Houston on 18, Austin on 16, and Vancouver on 15. So just 6 points separating the 7 teams from Salt Lake in 7th to Vancouver in 13th, and just 8 points separating LAFC in 5th place to the Whitecaps in the bottom in 15 as well. So still a lot of football to get played, still a lot of points on the board. Next up for the Whitecaps is a game in LA on Sunday against the Galaxy. You can kind of say it's the Whitecaps' first away game as a proper team again, now that they are back home in Vancouver. Somewhat ironically, the last away game they played before COVID and the pandemic hit was that very good 1-0 win down at the Galaxy back in March 2020. Seems a lifetime ago now. LA is going to be confident going into this one. They've got a really strong home record, 7 wins, 2 defeats, no draws so far. Whitecaps still looking for their first win on the road this year. They have got 4 draws. I mean, you've got to feel the Galaxy are favourites for this, but I mean, I've thought that in a couple of games where the Whitecaps have ground out some points, would very much take a point in this one. As for the starting lineup, I think we'll see a couple of changes. Max Crepeau, fully expect to see him back in between the posts. Javane Brown should be coming back in at right back as well. Veselinovic and Godoy, your centre backs, with Christian Gutierrez on the left back. Should see a 4-3-3 again. Up front, Lucas Cavallini will come back into the starting lineup after serving his 1-game suspension in the weekend match there. So he's going to lead the line with, you have to think, Caicedo and Dahomey either side of him after their good performances in recent matches. The midfield is what's going to be interesting, because I think we can be sure of Caio Alexandre and Janio Bikel as 2 of the 3 places. Michael Baldissimo is suspended for this one, so I think we're more likely to see probably Russell Teibert get the start again. But the way he's been playing and training, don't write off Patrick Metcalf to get the start. I think though they probably will go with the more experienced lineup and with Teibert, and who knows if we'll ever see Leo Obuso get a start again. Kick-off on Sunday night is at 5:08pm Pacific time. We'll be back after that match with our usual weekend show, looking back at that and all the latest action around MLS. Bring you a couple of interviews that we've got as well, and we'll touch on the CPL. But if you can't wait until that game at 5 o'clock, make sure you get yourselves out to Swangard Stadium. 12 noon kick-off. Whitecaps under-23s are going to be taking on FC Tigers in a friendly. Fully expect to see some of the young fringe guys on the Whitecaps MLS roster taking part in that one. Admission is free. COVID protocols will be in place as well. And it's going to be a beautiful day, so get out, see some football at a beautiful setting. I mean, you can't go wrong watching football on a Sunday afternoon at Swangard. For those of you that can't make it out to the game, highlights will be up on FC Tigers' YouTube channel later. Myself and Gideon Hill will have the call for that one. There may also be a live stream. There's still some negotiations going on round about that. But just keep your eyes peeled to the AFTN socials. We'll keep you advised if their live stream is happening. But that is pretty much it for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. Hope you've enjoyed it. We can't go though before this episode's wavelength. Now I know we'll probably have a few new listeners to this with Ryan Gauld joining the team. Welcome to you one and all. So for anyone that is new, or if anyone that just needs a reminder, what is our wavelength section? Well, we're in the 5th year of doing wavelength now, and basically what it is every episode we play you a football song. Most of them, songs about football by proper bands or recording artists. Occasionally we'll bring you songs by teams themselves, by players, just some fun pieces thrown in there. And yes, as I said, we have been doing this. This is our 5th year of doing it. And I've still got a lot more songs to bring you. You'll be glad to know about that. And for this episode, we're keeping the Scottish theme going. We're keeping the Dundee theme going, the Dundee United theme. And we're going for a song from 2010 by Ricky Ross, who is the lead singer of iconic Scottish band Deacon Blue. Don't know how popular they were over here in the 80s and the 90s, but they were very big in Scotland, still going. Ricky Ross is an ardent Dundee United supporter, and this is a song that he penned for his love of his team. This is Proud to be an Arab.
Walk the hill slowly down and get all of Saturday's news. And from the back of the grappling hand, all Fife's kingdom is in view. Pitch looks like black pool, sounding like tangerine. When Andy Dixon's treatment time comes, there's reserve game can be seen. And I'm proud to be an adult, proud of my home team. And I'm proud to be an adult. Old times, the new Halftime scores make a rusty rising. The crowd are glad of the news. Warmed by the bottle from the scoreline. The old Farm 1, Dundee 2, and I'm proud to be an Arab, right of my home team. Yes, I'm proud to be an Arab. Old times.
Ricky Ross there, proud to be an Arab from 2010. For anyone that isn't aware, the Arabs is the nickname for Dundee United. But that is it for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. We will be back soon. I'm Michael McCall. You can give me a follow on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Check out all our stuff on Away From The Numbers, aftn.ca, and give us a like and a subscribe and a follow. Turn on notifications on YouTube, youtube.com/AFTN Canada. We're going to be putting up our Ryan Gauld chat on there as well, and we'll have some more videos coming soon. But until next time, as always, thanks for listening, take care, stay safe, and mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.